And speaking of like overreactions and riding an emotional roller coaster, like imagine if Christian McCaffrey's on your fantasy team and you saw earlier in the week that he was popping up on the injury list. You're like, oh, brother, here we go again. And then you see his output in the first week of the season, 22 carries, 69 yards, 9 catches, 73 yards receiving, 22.2 fantasy points, and his 31 total touches, the most of any player in week 1. Is that what we expected from Christian McCaffrey? Probably not, but just a good reminder that like the Niners are not always the most forthcoming with injury reports, but Christian McCaffrey, my goodness, this is why you fall in love with him, because when he is healthy and playing, he is one of the best fantasy football ads in the league.
Oh, the fact that he was in the lineup was a win. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's playing? Yes. Like, that is not a roller coaster that I want to ride from a fantasy perspective. Is he going to play or not? And it's week 1. But, you know, there's no bigger roll of the dice in the fantasy world than Christian McCaffrey, because if he plays, he's going to put up the numbers. I know it wasn't his best day yesterday, but also I think Seattle's defense is a little underrated going into the season. But if he's healthy and he's going, then he can win you a game each and every week because of how talented he is. But, man, that's a ride that doesn't really interest me. When I go into any sort of fantasy draft, and I'm not a huge fantasy player, and he's sitting there, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go elsewhere.
And then a big day for former Longhorn. And Jenks, I think you have an offensive player of the year ticket on Bijan Robinson.
I do.
12 carries for 24 yards, which is not great on the ground, but he did have 6 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. And I think this is what makes these type of running backs that we're now seeing in the NFL especially dangerous, because it's not just with their legs. They are Swiss Army knives, and who better than Bijan Robinson, somebody who is supremely talented. And I think we were all wondering how they'd use him in this offense, because it feels like one of those things where he has been underutilized. But, you know, based on this stat line, at least fantasy owners should be happy.
They should be. Well, Bijan is never going to be a guy, nor should he, that you feed 20, 25 games or 25 times on the ground. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just not that type of player. You can, but you're better served to just get him the football in space. That's what you want to do. And certainly you can hand the ball off to him. But what you want to do is just, like they did yesterday when he took off on that pass, like, get him out in the flat, get him against a defender one-on-one, and let him cook. Because, man, in the open field, his subtlety is so remarkable, and I watched it at Texas, and I see it now. You know, a lot of times you'll see a receiver run a route, or you'll see a player, you know, juke someone in the open field. But if you slow it down and look at it, that there's little things that maybe you don't notice unless you watch it again that make them so difficult. And it's not just a shifting of maybe their hips are cutting one way or the other. Sometimes it's like a head bob, or a movement one way, or an eye shift. Little things like that can throw you off as a defender, because in the NFL, you're playing in milliseconds. I mean, everything is like this. And I don't know if there's anyone in the game who cannot just stop on a dime, but who can throw you off with the way he's able to shift directions. And watching it is something.
Yeah, it's almost like a basketball player doing like a crossover move.
Yeah.
And you just like put somebody on skates. Like, that's the type of, you know, agility we're talking about when it comes to Bijan Robinson.